Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Butt Fumble Sports Daily Show. So wonderful to have you with us on Instagram Live, TikTok Live, and of course on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick as we are broadcasting live here on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope your day's going well. Hope your work week's going well. Hope your sports week is going well. We have the start of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. Celtics, Pacers tipping off in Boston in just a couple of hours. We've got player prop bets to talk about. We've got game picks to talk about. We're going to do our research for that game in just a moment. We also have a full slate of MLB tonight. So no matter your questions, no matter the bets you want to focus on, or the fantasy action you want to cover, Butt Fumble Sports is here for all of it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're new to Butt Fumble Sports, we're a sports content company created by a sports fan for you real sports fans at home. Love talking sports with you guys every single day across TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and of course Instagram Live now. If you're new to the show, if you're new to the channel, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're live with us every single day. With that said, we're going to do our research as always throughout the course of the show. Hopefully you guys are ready for it because we are pumped about what we're going to be getting into. We obviously have picks to give out. Going to focus on those as well. So put in your questions. Pats and Sox, you get the honor of the first question tonight. Thoughts on over/under 11 at Wrigley with the wind. For those that are curious, there are 4 baseball games today that have weather that all suggest the over. 4 games with weather that suggest a lot of runs. Number 1, Tigers at Royals. Tigers at Royals, likelihood of runs up 16% according to ballparkpal.com. Second one is the Padres and the Reds. Padres and the Reds, another one that has a high likelihood of runs, plus 14%. The Braves at the Cubs. To Pats and Sox question, likelihood of runs up 13% in that game. Maybe more importantly for those who like home run bets, Dinger Tuesday, the likelihood of home runs is up 48%. You heard that correct. Up 48% in the Braves and Cubs game. Could be one that you could see a lot of long balls and definitely see the over. And the fourth game that we're going to talk about when it comes to maybe going over with the weather encouraging it is the Mets at the Guardians. Let's get into our research, everybody. The research we're going to do throughout the show. Appreciate you guys being with us. I want to make sure you guys can see our picks every single day as we pull them up on the screen. So let me pull this over here. And let's go to work, everybody. First thing that we're going to focus on is going to be this over-under in the Cubs and Braves game. Again, the weather may suggest the over is a good play. We're just going to see if there's something to that. Braves and Cubs, they're starting the first game of their series tonight in Wrigley. Thus far this year, when the Braves are in the first game of a series, they're 11-4 straight up. The under's been a very good play, but again, maybe focusing on that a little bit less. Under's gone 9-5-1, but really for the purposes of this focus, we're going to look at just how the Braves have done versus the Cubs, see if there's a good bet to make. How about the Cubs? First game of a series so far this year, 8-7 straight up, 10-5 on the run line. When the Cubs are at home so far this year, first game of a series, 4-3 straight up, 4-3 on the run line. Braves, first game of a series on the road, they're 5-2 straight up, 5-2 on the run line. Really quick, let's see how these two starting pitchers have done. Again, I do like the over for this one. The weather is driving that, but I'm just seeing if there are any trends that are going to really back us up. Javier Assad is on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. No date on him? I feel like we should. Oh, that's because it's wrong. Taking a look at his stats, when the Cubs have had Javier Assad on the mound so far this year, 6-3 straight up, 7-2 on the run line. Keep your eye on the Cubs run line, might be a decent play. How about Charlie Morton? Charlie Morton on the mound for the Atlanta Braves so far this year. They're just 4-4 in his starts, 4-4 on the run line. All the trends are favoring the under, to be honest with you, but the weather is so favoring the over that this is one of those times where I'm actually going to buck some trends, and I'm really just going to focus on what the weather is producing. Braves and Cubs. The under is actually getting a lot of action. This is at 11.5. I hate it at 11.5. I took it earlier in the day at 9. It tells you how early I was making my bets. This opened at 10.5. I got it at 9 in a much better spot. Personally, I take it over 9.5. That's where I would go. That's Braves. That's Cubs. That's over 9.5. But another bet I actually want to recommend, I did a number of these today because the weather is so favorable towards offense. I'm also taking Braves over 4.5 runs. That's the Braves team total over 4.5 runs. Braves team total over 4.5 runs. I think you could probably do the same for the Cubs. I think both teams are going to go over 4.5 runs on this one. So not only do I like the over, I can see both teams reaching 5 runs. That's an absolute spot I'd go with. Did the Guardians just change starting pitchers? Interesting. I was seeing... Oh, they did. They did. Wow. It was Carlos Carrasco. Now Xavier Curry is now going to be the starting pitcher. So yes, we have seen a change in that one. Great call, Just Cash Bro. That is the case. Way to be checking that. Very well on you. If you guys have questions or comments across TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or Instagram, if you're watching on YouTube, I just reloaded. So if you did write a question, write it back in the comment section. I'll make sure I get to those throughout the course of the show. If you're watching on Instagram Live, feel free to put your questions or comments in the chat. We're here to help you guys out. Red Light Talks. Will Luke Cornett go over steals and blocks? Let's take a look at some player prop bets, everybody. Not exactly the player that I thought we were going to be talking about to open up our player prop bet segment for the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. But when you guys ask for it, we try to give it to you. I don't think this bet is available to a lot of places. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Something just went wrong. So, he has a block or a steal. It's all blocks. He has a block in 4 of his last 6 games specifically. When he's played at home, he has a block in 6 of his last 10 games. How about without Porzingis in the lineup? Luke Cornett without Porzingis has a block in 7 of his last 10 games at home. How about head-to-head against the Pacers overall? Just 1 game over his last 4 with a block or a steal against the Indianapolis Pacers. It did come in his last game against them without Kristaps Porzingis. How about with Kristaps Porzingis? 3 straight games. Red Light Talks. I actually think this is a good bet overall. Now, in terms of the matchup, may not seem great. Pacers are a decent team when it comes to not having blocks or steals by centers. But I actually think this is a pretty good play. So well done, Red Light Talks. I think this is an interesting one. Keep your eye also on... Forgive me. Not Neesmith. TJ McConnell. Keep your eye on TJ McConnell, over half a block, over half a steal against the Boston Celtics. Really good trend. TJ McConnell has at least a block or a steal in 6 of his last 7 games against the Boston Celtics. He has actually done that as well in 3 straight games in Boston against the Celtics. Now, I'm going to put this up on the board. I am taking the Celtics on the money line tonight. I'll go into some trends around it in a moment. Celtics on the money line, but that should definitely be a parlay play. That's not one you guys should be going with on its own. Not a lot of value. So that might be a leg of a 2-leg parlay. If you want to avoid it, I totally understand because the ROI is so poor. But a couple of player prop bets I am going to take. TJ McConnell, over half a block plus a steal. That is one I'm going with. I think Luke Cornett's a decent one as well. I actually looked up a couple other player prop bets, so let's dive into those. Next player prop bet I want to talk about, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum specifically on points. His point total for tonight's game is 29.5. Now, he hasn't been hitting 30 points consistently. He's only reached 30 points in 2 of his last 10 games overall. How about at home? 1 of his last 10 games, he's reached 30 points. So Jason Tatum, 29.5 points, seems very high. However, against the Indianapolis Pacers, he has hit 30 points in 7 straight games. So this is one in which there's a reason this total is so high. If you wanted to buy it down a little bit, again, I think it's a good parlay play with like Jason Tatum over 26.5 points, Celtics on the money line, or Jason Tatum over 27.5 points, Celtics money line. I think those are good plays. I'll put that one up on the board as well. Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. And again, I'm just going to put the little symbol next to it saying I would make it a parlay. I think that's something that would be really advantageous for you out there. If you do like the Celtics tonight, I take Celtics on the money line and Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. But that's not all I would take with Jason Tatum. He has this phenomenal streak, 7 straight games against the Pacers with at least 30 points. However, that's not where we're done. 3-pointers as well. Against the Indianapolis Pacers, he has at least 3 3-pointers made in 6 of his last 7 games. Specifically at home, 4 straight games against the Pacers, he has had at least 3 3-pointers. Now, over his last 20 games, this has been a terrible trend. He has only 3 3-pointers in a game 5 times in his last 20 games overall. If we do his last 20 home games, it's slightly better at 9 games. So maybe you want to avoid it. But I'm very heavily loaded on Jason Tatum tonight. And really, it's because the Pacers struggle against the small forward position. Jason Tatum has a phenomenal history against him. And Jason Tatum on rest, not a bad thing either. So let's just look. When Jason Tatum is on at least 3 days of rest, he has 3 3-pointers in 13 of those 18 games. Now, that obviously dates back a couple years, but Jason Tatum on rest doesn't impact his shooting nearly as much as one would think. So I have Celtics on the money line. I have Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. I'm also taking Jason Tatum over 2.5 3-pointers made. That's another one that I'm going with. You can put that in kind of a Jason Tatum 3-leg parlay. You can put it on its own. You can mix and match between the Celtics money line. But all of that said, Jason Tatum, very much a player I'm backing tonight. If you're doing rival fantasy challenges, I'm pro Jason Tatum. If you're playing fantasy tonight, you're doing a best ball challenge, DFS, whatever it may be, I think Jason Tatum is absolutely a player who should go off. Now, I know a lot of money right now is coming down on Jaylen Brown's point total. Jaylen Brown, his point total right now is set at 24.5, 25.5, depending on where you're looking at it. Now, this has been a slightly more consistent play than Tatum's 29.5 that we just talked about a moment ago. By the way, this market opened at 23.5 points, went up to 25.5, and has come back down to 24.5. In his last 10 home games, he's only reached 25 points 4 times. Now, what's interesting is, without Porzingis in the lineup, slightly better. He has actually gotten to 25 points in 4 of his last 6 games without Porzingis, 5 of his last 10 games without Porzingis. If I eliminate that, though, head-to-head against the Indianapolis Pacers, Jaylen Brown has gotten to 25 points or more in 6 of his last 8 games against them. 4 straight games against the Pacers, he's gone over this. In 6 of his last 7 games, he's gone over this. So not only is Jason Tatum over point total a good play, there's a reason so much money's coming down right now on Jaylen Brown also reaching 25 points. Now, I'm not going to put this one up on the big board. I don't have the same level of confidence, I think, in this one. If I do go to his last 20 games on 3 days of rest, Jaylen Brown, 9 games over his last 20 on 3 days of rest where he's actually gone to 25 points. Not as consistent coming off that layoff as Jason Tatum is when it comes to points. But I wanted to let you guys know, based on the trends against the Indiana Pacers, this is a good play. Jaylen Brown to 25 points. Again, not on my big board, but something you guys should consider. Really quick, just a quick recap of the picks we have put on the board so far. Celtics on the money line. Think of them as something to put in a parlay. Jason Tatum, over 27.5 points. Jason Tatum, over 2.5 3-pointers made. TJ McConnell, over half a block plus a steal. Braves Cubs, over 9.5 runs. Braves team total runs, over 4.5. Let's get to more questions. No matter the platform you're watching on, we're trying to help you guys out. El Pinche, Boston Celtics, Indiana Pacers, over under 222. By the way, shout out Dante and JP, we'll get to you in a moment. But El Pinche is asking about the total in this game. Really quick, let's dive into the trends on this one. I already gave you guys my play in terms of Celtics on the money line, but let me show you why. There's a reason behind this. So far this year, when there has been any time this year where there's a team with at least a 10-point advantage as a home favorite so far this year, home favorite of 10 points, and the rest is greater than 2 days, the home favorite is 14-0. Let me recap that in case you missed it. This season, when a home favorite has a line of at least 10 points like the Celtics do tonight, and they have more than 2 days of rest like the Celtics, the home favorite has gone 14-0. 14-0. So the rest advantage, obviously the talent, but I'm very big on this trend. Whenever you see something that's like 14-0, I understand there's a time where trends break. There's a time where, something's due. I'd rather be on the side of the 14 than the side of the 0. That's just the logic I put into it. Now, that's where I came down on the Celtics on the money line. But specifically, you're kind of asking me about the Celtics when they have a total around 220, around 225. So let's dive into that one specifically. When the Celtics have had a total less than 225 so far this year, not only are they 28-7, the over is 20-14-1. How about when they're a home favorite under that scenario? First of all, they're 14-3 straight up, 12-4-1 towards the over. So the over's been a better play when the Celtics have a total less than 225 and they're playing at home as a favorite. How about the Pacers? Let's flip this one around. When the Pacers are playing with a total less than 225 and they're on the road as a dog, so far this year, interesting to note, Pacers are 2-3 straight up. The over is 4-1. So not only is the over a favored play based on the trends when the Celtics are at home and they have a total of this number less than 225, same goes for the Pacers. Now, what's interesting is I look at the scoring margin, total score in those 5 games Pacers played, it was around 233. As for the Celtics, total was around 220, so that's what's making me nervous. So the Celtics, they've played 17 games as a home favorite when the total is less than 225. The problem is combined scoring in all 17 of those games results in about 220 points. So actually, if things go according to the law of averages here, the under would actually hit. A little bit nervous about that. So let's raise this. Let's change it a little. When the total is between 225 and over 220, how have the Celtics done in those games? Much different story, everybody. Now, the Celtics are still 12-4 when they have a total between 220 and 225, but the over-under has shifted from a heavy overplay back to an underplay. The under is 9-7, actually, when the Celtics have a total between 220 and 225. Just kind of randomly, how about when they won? In the games they won, when they went 12-0 in those games, the under went 8-4. So I'm actually kind of saying, if you think the Celtics are going to win tonight, the under might be a better play. And I'm not saying it's going to be under by a lot. I'm saying it's going to get to like 218, 220. The total for tonight's game is around 221.5. So it's going to be pretty dicey. You're going to be sweating it. But at least for the moment, there's a part of me that's leaning slightly towards the under. Now, let's just see for the Pacers. Let's do the same test. When the total's between 220 and 225, obviously a small sample. Wow. Interesting to note. The Pacers are actually 5-0 straight up when the total's between 220 and 225. Now, that's kind of interesting to me. Now, all of those, they were either a favorite or an underdog of just a point. So, in no situation were they a heavy underdog in any of these games. But kind of interesting, when the total has been between 220 and 225, Pacers are actually 5-0 straight up. So, if there was anyone out there who's thinking of a way of betting on the Pacers and they wanted a trend to back it up, that's one that actually speaks in your favor. Dante, let's get to JP. JP is asking about the Brewers on the money line. Brewers on the money line is the next one we're going to focus on. Actually, before we do that really quick, just to complete our conversation on Celtics Pacers, the over is getting more love in terms of the money. 96% of the money is on over 222.5. So I'm just letting you guys know where the money's coming down. Now, flipping it back over to baseball, someone's asking about Brewers on the money line. Interestingly enough, the public likes the Brewers to bounce back with a win. The money does not. 71% of the tickets are on the Brewers to win. 49% of the money is on the Marlins to win. So a difference of opinion there. Let's do some research here. Again, we're going to flip back over to baseball using killersports.com. If any of you guys want to do research on your own, I certainly encourage it. I don't want to act like this is an exclusive enterprise or exercise. You guys could go do your research on your own. Ballparkpal.com, Outlier, and killersports.com, all resources that we use every day to help you guys out. Now, we were talking about the Brewers. Let's focus on that. When the Brewers are coming off a loss and they're an away favorite the following day, they're actually just 1-3 straight up, 0-4 on the run line, and the under is 4-0. So the Brewers are actually not a very good bounce-back team. On the road is a favorite. How about on the road in general? Interestingly enough, when the Brewers have been an underdog on the road after a loss, they're 3-1 straight up, 4-0 on the run line. So the big difference here is when the Brewers are favored on the road after a loss, they're bad. When they're an underdog after a loss on the road, they're good. Kind of interesting to note there. Let's flip it around. Let's take a look at how the Marlins have done so far this year after a loss as a home underdog. Now, we expect the numbers to not be great. Marlins have been dog poop on your porch, but you might be a little bit surprised after a win, I should say. Marlins after a win as a home dog. They're 2-4 straight up, 2-4 on the run line. The over is 5-1. So one of these games where you can kind of talk yourself into either side. You think the Brewers are going to bounce back. However, they've actually really struggled under this scenario. Marlins aren't much better. A couple of trends I do want to call out because they're actually really important. Starting pitcher for the Marlins is Trevor Rogers. This may make the difference to a lot of you out there. Trevor Rogers has made 8 starts this year for the Marlins. The Marlins are just 1-7 straight up in his starts, 1-7 on the run line. So, this is what I would say. Brewers on the money line is probably what I would go with, but I would actually maybe take a different approach. Right now, the Brewers on the money line is -138. If you think the Brewers are going to win, I might be willing to take the risk and take them at Brewers -1.5 and get that at plus money. Because, at least based on the pitching matchup, Trevor Rogers, when he loses by 2 runs or more. So actually, just based on the return, that's something I want to focus on more. It's not just about getting every bet correct. Obviously, we want to do that. But as many of you mentioned, it's about the return on the investment. So the fact that Brewers -1.5 might be a better play. If you're going to take the Brewers at all, take them at the -1.5. They're not making my big board, but I wanted to show you this piece of data behind Trevor Rogers, the starting southpaw of the Marlins, just to give you a sense of where to place the bet and why it would be Brewers -1.5. Appreciate you guys supporting the show. Jorge, does Devers continue the home run streak? Has a homer against the starting pitcher of the Rays. I got last night wrong. I told you guys I didn't think Devers would go deep. He was 0-for-7 lifetime against Taj Bradley, and he made the fool of me. Rafi Devers is just hot. He is so hot right now. He's like Hansel. He's so hot right now. So I really, I don't know. I got to admit, we'll quickly go to the player prop bets. But normally, I wouldn't bet on a guy to hit a home run in his 7th straight day. But Rafi Devers threw egg on my face yesterday. So it's part of the reason I'm a little bit cautious today. I know you guys don't want a cautious sports bettor, but it is a reason for me to be kind of patient about taking it. Now, specifically, let's look up Rafi Devers, and let's just see what we're getting in terms of, let's say, a hit. Over half a hit is available at -270. Obviously, not very great, but he's on a hitting streak. It's not just the home runs. Rafi Devers has a hit in 18 of his last 20 games. So Rafi Devers over half a hit, kind of an interesting play. You could fold it into some parlays, but he has been scorching hot overall. It's not just with home runs. Specifically on the road, Devers has a hit in 16 of his last 20 games overall against right-handed pitching, regardless of location. Devers has a hit in 18 of his last 20 games. So Rafi Devers, just hotter than fish grease against this starting pitcher. As mentioned by Jorge, he's 1 for 3 lifetime with a home run. Now against right-handed pitchers, he's hitting .309, 10 home runs, 18 RBIs. I'm not saying I would endorse a home run, but I certainly would endorse maybe over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He has gone over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs in 9 of his last 10 games. That is a phenomenal stretch against right-handed starting pitchers. He's done that in 9 of his last 10 games. On the road against right-handed starting pitchers, 8 of his last 10 games. So at this point, Rafi Devers over half a hit, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. I'd ride with it for another day, even if the home run isn't something I'm necessarily going to play. Dabber Doodle, that's exactly what he did. I know Rafi Devers is a big fan of Butt Fumble Sports. He probably watched the show and was like, I'm going to prove Butt Fumble Sports wrong. We all know that's the case. Richard Roman, Philly versus Texas. Interesting game in that one. That's a really interesting one. Is that Phillies and Rangers game. I was actually kind of stuck on this one, looking at it a bit earlier. Rangers going to Philly. The money is coming down on the Phillies right now very heavily. Let's dive into some of the trends on this one. We're going to look at the Rangers' first game of a series. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games in the first game of a series. They're 8-7 straight up overall. How about on the road? Rangers are 4-3 on the road to start a series. Again, they've won just 1 of their last 4 games on the road to start a series. They faced a lot of left-handed pitchers in that span of time, and they've actually struggled against them. Rangers against starting left-handed starters. Let's see how they've done this year. 8-8 straight up, 4-12 on the run line. Rangers are 4-12 on the run line against starting pitchers who are left-handed. In those games, the under has gone 10, 5, and 1. Let's flip it over, and let's take a look at how the Phillies have done when they've had a left-handed starter. So, obviously, they have a southpaw going tonight. In the games they've started a left-handed pitcher, they're 13-5 straight up. They've actually won 2, 4, 6 straight games when they've started a left-handed pitcher. That's regardless of location. How about when they've started a left-hand pitcher at home? Phillies are 8-2. Phillies are 8-2 when they started a left-handed pitcher so far this year. The last time they lost when they started a left-handed pitcher was April 12th to the Pirates, long time ago. So at least the early return has us at least considering the Phillies on the money line. I do want to look at the starting pitcher for the Rangers right now. Starting pitcher for the Rangers, by the way, thank you guys for the support, is John Gray. One thing I do want to note, great trend involving John Gray, is the under. The under is 7-1-1 when John Gray has started this year. The only game in which the over hit when John Gray was a starting pitcher was March 31st, his first start of the year. That was against the Chicago Cubs. Again, that's back in March. That's the last time that during one of his starts, the Rangers and the opposing team hit the over. So kind of interesting, the under thus far seems to be the better play, at least according to the Rangers side, not to the Phillies side of things. Really quick, according to ballparkpal.com, the weather in Philadelphia does favor offense, so I'm not going to touch the over-under because the stats say one thing, the weather says another. Kind of has me split, but I will take the Phillies on the money line. Phillies on the money line appears to be the better play, so I will take Phillies on the money line. That's the next one I'm going to go with. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are loving the show and loving the content. If you are, make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with me every time we go live. Eminent, Colt, Keith, Tigers over half a hit. Not someone that I'm really aware of, so let's take a look at that. Colt Keith of the Tigers, taking a look at his trends really quick. He does have a hit in 7 of his last 10 games. He's facing a right-handed starter. He has a hit in 6 of his last 10 games against a righty, really in 6 of his last 8 games. So pretty solid against the starting pitcher tonight, Alec Marsh. No experience in his career against right-handed pitchers overall. 221 average. Personally, I know he's heating up. This isn't a bet that I would really take. There's not enough behind it to get me excited about it. So I love the question, but no, not someone who's going to necessarily get my excitement and get my money. JP, Carlos Carrasco is no longer the starting pitcher for the Guardians. Appears like they're going in another direction. Xavier Curry has now been announced as the starting pitcher. Eli is asking about Ryan O'Hearn. Ryan O'Hearn has been one of the best hitters in baseball so far this year against right-handed pitching. Now, over under 1.5 hits. He has a hit in 8 straight games, but he doesn't have a 2-hit performance. Wow, he only has a 2-hit game in 3 of his last 20 games overall. Now, the matchup he has tonight against Lance Lynn, he has just 1 hit in 6 at-bats, lifetime against Lance Lynn. I know he rakes against right-handed pitchers, but personally, I would take the under 1.5 hits. It's not a very good return on investment, so I'm not going to put it on the board. Wouldn't encourage it. But Eli, Ryan O'Hearn, I just don't think there's value there at over 1.5 hits. I think that's asking a little bit too much given his history against the starter and given just his performance over the last few weeks. Spencer, Pacers to win tonight. Sorry, I'm taking the Celtics. And we did look up a trend where when a home favorite this year has a 10-point advantage in terms of the line, and they have at least 2 days of rest, the Celtics scenario, the home favorite, 14-0, part of the reason we came down where we did on that bet. Who you think is winning Pirates versus Giants, New York Mariners, Cubs, Braves? Some great questions right now. Really quick, I'll go through a couple of these games. Giants and Pirates. By the way, Giants and Pirates, look at the over. Cubs and Braves, look at the over. Landon, the weather in those 2 games highly favors the over, so definitely check those out. Let's go to Pirates. Let's go to the Giants game. This one's in Pittsburgh. Money coming down is favoring the Giants. 73% of the money on the Giants. 91% of the money on the Giants to cover the spread. Looking at some trends, everybody. Giants, first game of a series so far this year, 7-8 straight up. 6-9 on the run line. How about when they've been on the road first game of a series? The Pirates, thus far, first game of the series on the road, 2-5 straight up, 2-5 on the run line. Not an attractive trend. How about the Pirates? Pirates, first game of a series at home so far this year. 3-4 straight up, 3-4 on the run line. Nothing so far. Let's go to Logan Webb. Logan Webb's the starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. In his start so far this year, Giants are just 5-5 straight up, 5-5 on the run line. When he's pitched on the road, he's just 1-4 straight up, 2-3 on the run line. Not what we wanted to see. How about Martin Perez, starting pitcher for the Pirates? In his starts for the Pirates so far this year, the Pirates have gone 3-6 straight up, 3-6 on the run line. They actually have just 1 win in his last 7 starts. I don't love this game. I feel like this is a coin flip right now. I think there's going to be a lot of offense. Personally, I wouldn't bet this one. Feels like it's a bit of a toss-up. If you did go in one direction, I'd probably say Giants, simply because they do have the better starting pitcher and because, frankly, they've got the better roster, I think. But that's not enough of an indication. So you could just hear enough hesitation in my analysis for me to say avoid that. Next game that you're asking about is the Yankees and the Mariners. We called that game almost perfectly yesterday. I did say Yankees on the money line, but I said Mariners plus 1.5, and we took the under. The Yankees bullpen had just been able to close it out correctly. We would have cashed on all 3. We did well with 2 for 3, though. How about the Yankees coming off a loss so far this year? The Yankees have been the best team at home across baseball when they are coming off a loss, and then they play the following day as a home favorite. Yankees this year are 4-0 straight up, but they're 0-4 on the run line. Kind of an interesting stat there. Yankees, after a loss when they're then a home favorite, 4-0 straight up, 0-4 on the run line. Kind of interesting. How about the Mariners? Mariners, when they are coming off a win, and they're a road dog the following day, Mariners are 1-4 straight up, 1-4 on the run line. Over is 4-1. Now, the Yankees starting pitcher tonight, that's going to make a big difference in my analysis on this. It's Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt starting pitcher for the Yankees, and Clark Schmidt has actually been a revelation for the Yanks so far this year. He's made 9 starts. They are 8-1 in his starts. 8-1 in his starts. They're 6-3 on the run line. How about when they're coming off a loss and Clark Schmidt pitches 3-0 straight up? How about when he pitches at home? Just overall this year, his one loss came on the road. He's 4-0 straight up when he pitches at Yankee Stadium. Now, on the other side of things, Bryan Woo, decent starter for the Yankees as well. For the Mariners as well. Bryan Woo, he's made just 2 starts. The Mariners are 2-0 in those starts. So these are 2 pitchers who have pitched very well in limited action so far this year. I'm going to lean just slightly towards the Yankees. I'm going to take Yankees on the money line. If you did want to take it again, Mariners plus 1.5 or Mariners plus 2, I think is a very good play. Mariners plus 2, maybe you put it into a same game parlay. Maybe you put it into a parlay with some other things like Celtics on the money line. But if you told me the Yankees won, but the Mariners were just a 1-run loser, I totally believe you based on the trends we just looked at. So again, here's a recap of the picks we put on the board so far. Celtics on the money line, but that should be the leg of a parlay. I like Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. I'd like Jason Tatum to get at least 3 3-pointers, so over 2.5 3-pointers. I like TJ McConnell over half a block plus a steal. For baseball so far, we have Braves and Cubs over 9.5 runs. That is an alternative line. We have Braves over 4.5 for a team total. Over 4.5 for a team total. We have Phillies on the money line. We have the Yankees on the money line. If you guys want all of my bets every day, the picks that I put up on the board during the show, those just the ones that we get to. If you want to see every bet that I make every day, just like IP Shade 45 does, that's why he's throwing that confetti in the air. If you want to see every bet that I make every day, just DM me on Instagram. I give away my picks for free. You guys work hard for your money. You shouldn't be paying for picks. I give them away for free every day. So if you guys want to see every bet that I make, regardless of the type of bet, the sport, the parlay, the round robin, whatever it is, you'll see all of them on the SHARPZ app. All you got to do is DM me on Instagram, Butt Sports, to see every bet that I make every single day. J2 Official has been waiting patiently. He's got a question about Starling Marte to record a hit. Expecting a lot of offense in the Guardians and Mets game. Expecting a good amount of offense in that. Is Starling Marte going to contribute to it? Over half a hit. He has a hit in just 5 of his last 10 games, actually. Not that impressive. Against right-handed pitching, 6 of his last 10. The matchup that he has changed. He's facing Xavier Curry tonight. No starts against him. No at-bats against him. Starling Marte this year, .256 average against right-handed pitchers. It's okay. On the road against right-handed pitchers, he's only got a hit in 5 of his last 10 games. 2 of his last 5 games overall. Do I think he could get this? Yeah, but there's not enough behind it that encourages it. His last 3 games against the Guardians, only 1 game he recorded a hit. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm saying over half a hit is a minus 240 bet. Not worth it, just given everything else that's available. So if you put it into some parlays, maybe you would get the value there. But just based on what I'm seeing right now, J2 Official, Marte over half a hit, not worth it, not valuable enough. Adam, Pacers and Celtics tonight. We're going with the Celtics. Celtics on the money line. Someone's asking about the Twins. Twins really let me down yesterday. I had the Twins on the money line against the Nationals. Nationals blew the doors off the building, put a whooping on the Minnesota Twins. The money for this game, 75% of the tickets are on the Twins to bounce back and get the win, but only 62% of the money feels that way. The Nationals once again getting a bit more love. Let's see how the Twins have done when they're coming off a loss and they're a road favorite so far this year. Twins are 3-2 straight up, 3-2 on the run line. The over is 4-1 under that scenario. How about the Nationals? Nationals, when they are coming off a win, and they are a home dog, so far this year, 2-5 straight up, 3-4 on the run line. Over-under is split at 3-3-1. Starting pitcher for the Twins tonight is Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan, pretty good starting right-handed pitcher. In his starts so far this year, though, not as good as you would like. Twins are 5-4 straight up, 3-6 on the run line. Under is slightly better at 5-4. Let's flip it around. Let's look at Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin on the mound for the Washington Nationals. In his 9 starts this year, Nationals 4-5, 4-5 on the run line. The under is 6-3. This is a tough game for me to kind of call. Feels like, again, another bit of a coin flip. If I had to go in any direction, though, I would take Twins on the money line. I actually want to bounce back to the Twins' stats really quick and just see if we can find something here. When the Twins are going up against a left-handed starting pitcher so far this year, Twins against Southpaws, 7-6 straight up. How about when they're coming off a loss and they're facing a left-handed pitcher? Twins coming off a loss and facing a left-handed starting pitcher are 0-4 straight up, 0-4 on the run line. I'm going to avoid this one, guys. That really stands out. The Twins are 0-4 when they're coming off a loss, and that next game they're facing a left-handed starting pitcher. 0-4 straight up, 0-4 on the run line. How about the Nationals this year? When the Nationals are coming off a win and they have a left-handed starter on the mound, 3-8 straight up, 4-7 on the run line. This is just not worth it to me. Not worth it to me, not what I like. I'll flip one more piece of data up here. When the Nationals are coming off a win, they're facing a righty, 3-9 straight up, 5-7 on the run line. This isn't a game that has my vote, my attention, my confidence. I'd avoid this one. Bryson Stott to record a hit. Let's go do some research on that, everybody. Bryson Stott is the next player we're going to be looking up for over half a hit. I do have some player prop bets that I'm going to be giving out in just a moment, so we'll get to that. Bryson Stott, over half a hit. He has a hit in 9 of his last 10 games. He has a hit in 15 of his last 20 games. Really, 15 of his last 18 games overall. He has been scorching. How about at home? In his last 10 home games, he has a hit in 8 of his last 10. And specifically, going up against a right-handed starter at home, 8 of his last 10 he has a hit. He has a hit in 8 of his last 9 games as well. Against John Gray, career, 0-2 lifetime, small sample size. We're not going to take anything from that. But against right-handed pitching, he's hitting .276. Again, he's been very hot of late. I actually don't dislike this bet. I do like it. There are other players in the Philly lineup I like a little bit more. But if you did take Bryson Stott over half a hit, I would be about that. Some other players I do like in this game, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, 2 guys, Bryce Harper, 3 guys I all think could have good games. But keep your eye on Brandon Marsh. I actually think I like Brandon Marsh the most of any hitter to record a hit in this game, at least from the Philly side of things. Brandon Marsh over half a hit is -205 against right-handed pitching. He has a hit in 8 of his last 9 games against a right-handed pitcher at home. That's 9 of his last 10. In fact, he has a hit against a right-handed starter at home in 18 of his last 20. I'm going to put this one up on the board for you guys. That's Brandon Marsh over half a hit. Brandon Marsh over half a hit for the Phillies. Again, just a phenomenal trend and decent return on investment. You could get this at -155 on FanDuel, -200 on ESPN Bet, -200 on BetMGM, -205 on DraftKings, -214 on Caesars. So you could put that into a parlay. Again, take one of your favorite bets of the night. For me, Celtics on the money line, for example, or maybe it is Yankees on the money line, Phillies on the money line, something like that. Put it into a parlay with Brandon Marsh over half a hit. Feels like a way to get back to even money or pretty close to on some of these bets. Not a bad idea. Tanner Tucker's taking Celtics -10. I'm kind of curious to see if the Celtics can't cover that double-digit spread. Jorge, I do like Harper over half a hit. I am about that one. Oxman's asking about Royals and Tigers. Let's take a look at that game. Now, that one's another one. We mentioned it earlier. Weather favoring the over. There are 4 games, according to BallparkPal.com, where the likelihood of runs is up more than 10%, which is really high. 4 games. Detroit, Kansas City, likelihood of runs up 16%. Padres at Cincinnati, likelihood of runs up 14%. Likelihood of home runs up 30%. Braves at Cubs, likelihood of runs up 13%. Likelihood of home runs up 48%. And finally, Mets at Guardians, likelihood of runs up 11%. Likelihood of home runs up 20%. I could also see home runs, by the way, in that Philly game. Kyle Schwarber over half a home run. Bryce Harper over half a home run. I could see either one of them, if not both of them, going deep. Keep your eye on Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper tonight to hit a home run. That said, we're focused on Tigers, we're focused on Royals. The money's coming down on the Royals. 69% of the tickets are on the Royals to win. 88% of the money is on the Royals to win. So the money likes the Royals. Let's dive into this one. Now, the Royals are coming off a win yesterday. Royals coming off a win as a home favorite, coming off a win so far this year. Royals are 7-2 straight up, actually. Very good home team as a favorite coming off a win. 7-2 straight up, 6-3 on the run line. Over-under has been 5-4 towards the under. Not too much I want to take from that. But how about the Tigers coming off a loss when they are a road dog? Tigers this year under that scenario, 4-3 straight up, 4-3 on the run line. Interesting. There isn't a true underdog on this one. It feels like this is about even money. So actually, when the Tigers are coming off a loss and they're just on the road, they're 5-5. Interesting that they're not a true underdog right now, at least on killersports.com. Same kind of goes on Outlier. You could get the Tigers at even money. You could get the Royals at -112. Really quick, let's look at the starting pitchers. Casey Mize on the mound for the Tigers tonight. In his 8 starts this year, Tigers are 5-3, but they've lost the last 3 starts he's made. He's actually failed to cover the run line in all 3 of those starts he's made. Those came against the Yankees, Astros, and the Marlins. Remember when I mentioned Trevor Rogers? He hadn't had a win this year until his previous start. That came against these Tigers and Casey Mize, so that was the difference there. Now let's take a look now at Alec Marsh. Alec Marsh is the starting pitcher for the Royals. In his starts so far this year, he's made 7 starts. Royals are 6-1 in his starts this year. That kind of settles the debate for me a little bit. I'm going to go Royals on the money line, everybody. Royals on the money line is going to be the next pick that we put up on the board. Royals on the money line. Some trends back that one. Love that. Now, there is a player prop bet from this game I do want to get to. It's Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez, you can't get him at over half a hit anymore unless you do a same-game parlay, and that's exactly what I'm recommending. So, against Casey Mize in his career, Salvador Perez has 21 at-bats against Casey Mize. He has a .429 average. You heard that correct. 21 at-bats, big sample size, a .429 batting average, 1 home run, 5 RBIs. If you can find it, do Salvador Perez over half a hit and put it into a same game parlay. Put it into a 2-leg parlay. Take Royals on the money line, take Salvador Perez over half a hit. Put Brandon Marsh half a hit, Salvador Perez half a hit. However you can get half a hit, I take it. If you had to, Salvador Perez over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, I would absolutely do that as well. Salvador Perez, one of my favorite players tonight. If you told me he hit a home run, would not shock me. I mentioned Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper in the Phillies game. Salvador Perez is someone who absolutely has my attention in this one. Obviously, another player, Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr., 2 for 6 lifetime against this starting pitcher, against right-handed pitchers this year, hitting .306. Take a same-game parlay with Bobby Witt Jr. over half a hit, Salvador Perez over half a hit. Definitely something I'd recommend. On the other side of things, no history against Alec Marsh. If there was one Tiger I'd put a hit bet on, it's Kerry Carpenter. But frankly, not a big enough fan of his, just given that I like the Phillies more in the game. Josh Naylor to get a hit or a home run. Really like that one. Josh Naylor could have a really big night given the weather favors exactly where he likes to pull the ball. It's going to go to right field, right center. Over half a hit is available on Josh Naylor. He has a hit in 6 of his last 10 games. Against a right-handed starter, 6 of his last 10 games. At home against a right-handed starter, 6 of his last 10 games. However, against the starting pitcher he's facing, Adrian Hauser, he is 0 for 2 lifetime. Does have a .254 average right now against right-handed pitchers. I would take Josh Naylor over half a hit. I do feel like that is a good play. Cody Bellinger over half a hit, over half a home run. I do think is a good play. Cody Bellinger's got great numbers against this starting pitcher. He has been on a hot streak. 8 of his last 10, he has a hit. He has a hit in 17 of his last 20 games overall. And against the starting pitcher, Charlie Morton, Cody Bellinger, .455 average lifetime in 11 at-bats. No home runs, so there is some caution there. But he has great numbers against this starting pitcher. Charlie Morton, I'm putting Cody Bellinger on the big board as well. Over half a hit for him. Another player I would take for this one, Seiya Suzuki. Over half a hit as well. I think there's going to be offense in this Braves and Cubs game. You want another player from this game that I think gets a hit? Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna, over half a hit is another one. And if you took Marcell Ozuna over half a hit and over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, wouldn't be a terrible play. Quick recap of the player prop bets we put on the board so far during the show. We have Brandon Marsh, over half a hit. We have Salvador Perez, over half a hit. But put that in the same game parlay, everybody. That's the key note on that one. We have Cody Bellinger, over half a hit. We have Seiya Suzuki, over half a hit. And we have Marcell Ozuna, over half a hit. If you guys have questions, we're doing our research. Jorge, I do like Ronald Acuna Jr. as well. Anybody you like for a home run tonight? It feels like Kyle Schwarber. It feels like Bryce Harper could both go deep tonight. Fernando Tatis Jr. is another player that I have my eye on. Let's pull up Fernando Tatis Jr. really quick. Fernando Tatis Jr., his career stats against Andrew Abbott, only 1 for 3 lifetime against left-handed pitching. Really poor average this year. For some reason, I'm just kind of feeling it a little bit, in part because the weather in that Padres and Reds game is kind of favoring it. But Kyle Schwarber, probably. Salvador Perez, probably. Bryce Harper, probably. Those are some names that really stand out to me as players to hit a home run this evening. Do I like Aaron Judge? Let's take a quick look at Aaron Judge's stats for this evening's game. Over half a hit is available. He has a hit in 8 straight games. Against this starting pitcher, Brian Wu, he has no at-bats in his career. Against right-handed pitching right now, hitting .278. He's been on a bit of a tear. At home, he has a hit in 10 straight games. In fact, at home, he has a hit in 15 of his last 20. I'd rather take Aaron Judge over half a hit than a home run. The wind is blowing out to left field. It isn't necessarily a great short porch game. A lot of his home runs, he just kind of goes with them to right field. Don't feel like he gets there this evening, so I'll take him over half a hit. Won't necessarily take him over half a run. So he has that hit streak. What about Juan Soto? We've been going with Juan Soto a lot this year. Not a bad bet really ever. That said, he's coming off a 2-hit performance so far this year against a right-handed pitching. At home, he has a hit in 7 of his last 10 games. So far this year, he has a hit at home against a right-handed starter in 14 of the 20 games he's played. Against Brian Wu in his career, doesn't have an at-bat, but against a right-handed starter, .316 so far this year. I will also put Juan Soto up on the big board for over half a hit. Steps, I really like Salvador Perez to hit a home run as well. We mentioned him a little while ago. Parker Rips, Salvador Perez, over half a hit is available on DraftKings as the alt. Parker, make sure you put it in a parlay. I really, really like it, but make sure it's a parlay. John, can you research Florida Rangers game tonight? Of course we can. Here's my only thing on that one, though, John. This game is actually tomorrow night. It isn't tonight, so make sure you're aware of that. The money is coming down more and more on the Panthers. 66% of the tickets are on the Rangers to win Game 1, but 46% of the money is on the Panthers to win Game 1. Keep your eye on that. The fact that the money is shifting in favor of the Panthers by the day really says something. Now, I'll jump into some quick trends here. If killersports.com on the NHL side gets working, sometimes it's actually funny enough, it's actually the sport on here that I feel like is the most, is the slowest. So, John, we'll see if we get to some trends on this. I'm going to probably focus pretty heavily on what's going on tonight. But really quick, I just want to show you when these two teams have played each other. How have they performed? When the Panthers have played the Rangers this year, Panthers are 2-1 straight up. The over is 3-0. These teams have played 3 games against each other this year. The over is 3-0. Kind of interesting there. Let's backdate this. Let's say since 2022, when these two teams have played against each other, how have they performed against one another? The Panthers, 2-4 straight up. The over is 6-0. These two teams have played 6 games against each other since 2022. The over is 6-0. Let's keep going back on that. Since 2020, how is the over-under done since 2020? As it loads up, I think the over is the play here, John. Over 5.5. This is just slow to load. Sorry about that. Nothing I can really do. I'm at the mercy of killersports.com. John, I take the over. I'm gonna jump out of it. I don't want to bog us down. But I'll put this one up on the board. I know they're not playing tonight, but I'll put it up here. Panthers, Rangers, over 5.5. Panthers, Rangers, over 5.5 goals. That's what I would be going with for Game 1. Just based on the trends we just looked up, those two teams going head-to-head. Money coming down on the over as well. So, John, that's how we're playing it for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL. JP, would you recommend pairing the Royals hit same game parlay with Celtics Tatum? I wouldn't do Tatum probably on the threes. I might like Tatum on the points more. But look, if I put it up on the big board, JP, I do like the bet. So I'm not going to try and talk you out of it too much. Cruel Finisher is asking about the Orioles on the money line. Orioles on the money line is the next game we're going to focus on. Orioles coming off a loss last night against Sonny Gray. They were getting no hit for a while in that one. When they are coming off a loss and they're on the road after a loss, the Orioles so far this year are 4-1 straight up. They've actually won their last 4 games on the road following a loss. How about the Cardinals? When the Cardinals are coming off a win so far this year and they're playing the next game at home, the Cardinals are 2-5 straight up. They are just 1-5 in their last 6 games under this scenario. For both of these teams, the over is a slightly better play. The weather for that Orioles and St. Louis Cardinals game is favoring the over a little bit. Weather's favoring that as well. Money coming down on the over. I kind of like that right now. I'm seeing the over as a decent play. Let's take a look at Lance Lynn. Starting pitcher for the Cardinals in his starts this year. 4-5 straight up. The over is 5-4. Lance Lynn has lost his last 4 straight starts, or the Cardinals have lost his last 4 starts, and the over is hit in 3 straight games. Kyle Bradish on the mound for the Orioles. How do we feel about the Orioles with Bradish on the bump? They are 3-0 in his starts. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm taking Orioles on the money line, everybody. Orioles on the money line is getting my money. Orioles on the money line. Really like that based on the trends we just looked at. Appreciate you guys asking your questions. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Next question is Richard Roman is asking about the Astros and the Angels. Angels pulled out a bit of a surprise win yesterday. Money's coming down on the Astros to get revenge today. Let's take a look at it. When the Angels are coming off a win and they're playing on the road the following day, Angels are 6-5 straight up. Really interesting, actually. Angels are 9-2 on the run line the day following a win when they play on the road. So on the road after a win, Angels are 9-2 on the run line. They've actually won 3 of their last 4 under this scenario. How about the Astros? Astros coming off a loss when they play at home the following day. So far this season, 5-7 straight up, 6-6 on the run line. Not great. How about when they're a home favorite under that scenario? 5-6 straight up, 5-6 on the run line. Nothing to get me excited here. Griffin Canning on the mound for the Angels. How have the Angels done in his starts? 3-6 straight up, but they're 5-4 on the run line. They've actually covered the run line in 4 of his last 5 starts. Kind of an interesting note there. How about Christian Javier? Christian Javier starting for the Astros tonight. They're 3-3 in his starts, 3-3 on the run line. I'm not going to bet this game. Honestly, I feel like the Astros are going to win, but if you just base it on the trends we looked at, the Angels on the run line might be a slightly better play. Angels +2, Angels +2.5. You could get the Angels at +2 at -168. You could get Angels +2.5 at -180. Actually, kind of an interesting one there. Now I'm starting to kind of pay attention to it. Angels +2.5. I might put that one. I would consider that very, very much. Angels +2.5 is a -180 bet. That's actually a really good return given the lack of risk with the extra run and a half being, or the extra run being tacked on there. So I'm not going to put it on the big board, but I actually am feeling this one. Again, that's Angels +2.5. Keep your eye on that one, everybody. That might be a sneaky good play on an underdog this evening. JP, do you favor Judge or Soto on the hits play more? Probably lean slightly towards Juan Soto, only because he hits right-handed pitching better than Judge. I know Judge is the hotter hitter right now, but so far this year, Soto has been the better hitter against right-handed pitching. I'll lean Soto, but frankly, JP, I think both are very good plays. Arctic Tiger, Henderson, O'Hearn, Cowser looks like the best props for overs. I like it, Arctic Tiger. Padres, first 5 innings. Kind of an interesting bet, actually. Personally, I think the Reds +1.5 is maybe a better play overall for the game, so I would consider that, but I'd certainly like the over. Streets, if you want to see my big board, it's on YouTube, so we broadcast on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick my computer screen. So if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, you could see all the picks we've made during the show. They're on the big board that's on the screen right now. You can also see all the research I do, all the research that I'm talking through on Instagram Live and on TikTok Live. You can actually see me do it on my screen if you watch over on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. So if you want the complete experience, go over to YouTube, Butt Fumble Sports. My handle is the same everywhere. It's the name of my company, Butt Fumble Sports. Go check me out on YouTube, and you can see us do our research. You can see the big board. Obviously, we still answer questions of people who are watching over on YouTube, so the experience is just as good. Drew Holiday, under 18.5 points and rebounds. Let's get back to NBA player prop bets for this one. We're looking at Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, and specifically points and rebounds. Points and rebounds. It's set right now at 18.5. That's what you were just bringing up. The under's got the better implied probability. He's gone under this total in 7 of his last 10 games, specifically with no Porzingis in the lineup, though. It's actually been a better overplay. The over has gone 5-10 when he's played without Porzingis. By the way, when he has 3 days of rest or more, this is a terrible trend, actually. Drew, this is going to sound crazy, but the over is 8 for its last 10. He's hit the over in 8 of his last 10 games without Porzingis on at least 3 days of rest. He has gone over this total. I'm not saying that that's a reason to bet on it. I'm saying that's a reason to not bet on it. Just avoid this one. I don't feel like this is a very good play. Now, head-to-head against the Pacers, I understand. Head-to-head against the Pacers, he's actually gone over this total in 3 of his last 5 games against the Pacers. So, Drew, there are way too many variables that are saying that this isn't a good play. It's not pointing me in the direction of the under. I would just avoid it. Jorge, I do like Jaren Duran over half a hit. Yes, I do. If you guys are new to Butt Fumble Sports, make sure you're with us. Best Frenchie, damn, you always skip my question. What's up with that? I don't mean to. What's your favorite underdog play? Well, that's why I'm not answering that, because I put my favorite bets on the board. I don't do that. I'm never one that's like, what's my favorite one bet? I really don't like that, in part because it implies it's a lock. I really don't like doing that. These are my favorite bets of the day. You guys can figure out which ones you want to follow and which ones you don't. I'll leave that up to you. It's a little bit of work on your end, but I'll do the research. I'll put up the picks. You guys can decide which one you want to follow, which one you want to fade. I kind of hate being asked to choose one of them because I'm inevitably betting against myself, actually. I really don't want to do that. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are loving the show, loving the content. If you do want every bet that I make every day, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports. DM me on Instagram. I'm more than happy to give out all my picks every day for free. Again, they're never behind a paywall. They're never deleted. They're always accessible. They're always transparent. I want you guys to see my picks. You can follow them. You can fade them. That's entirely up to you. But my job is to research bets, and you guys can decide what you guys want to do with it. But I love talking sports every day. I love researching sports every day. If you guys want to see every bet I make, regardless of the type of bet, regardless of the sport, regardless of the odds, they're all available for free. So make sure you guys follow me, DM me on Instagram every single day. I bet you don't even watch the games. No, I love sports. I've worked at ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports. I was a producer for Jim Rome. No, I'm probably the biggest sports fan you've ever met. In reality, I know there are a lot of people who can make that claim, but actually, if you really knew me, you would think I'm as big a sports fan as anyone you've come across. So really not the case. What do I think of the Rockies money line play? Rockies on the money line. Next game that we're going to quickly look at, everybody. Rockies, Athletics. This one's a really interesting one. The money is coming down on the Rockies. 76% of the tickets are on the A's to win. 73% of the money is on the Rockies to win. Crazy amount of money on the Rockies to win. Now the Rockies are on the road for this game. Rockies coming off a loss in their previous game. When the Rockies are coming off a loss and they're on the road, they're 3-14 this year straight up. Dog poop on your porch in the summertime. I mean, god freaking awful. You heard that correct. 3-14 this year on the road after a loss. How about in the first game of a series, though, on the road? Rockies' first game of a series on the road, they're actually 3-5. So as bad as they are on the road overall, in the first game of a series, they're actually a slightly better team as if they kind of ambushed the opposing team. That said, probably one I'm going to stay away from unless we see really strong trends, just because I hate that Rockies line. That feels really bad, or that Rockies trend, rather. Athletics, first game of a series, they're 6-9 straight up. They lost their last 4 straight games in the first game of a series. The under's a pretty good play, actually, in this one. If I had to go with anything in this game, it would actually be the under. The total's at 7.5. I really don't like that, but I would take it at under 9. That's what I would take for this game. So Rockies, under 9's minus 200. Maybe you don't like that. Under 8.5, minus 148. Rockies and A's, I'm not going to bet a side, but I would take the under. Do I like the Reds over? Yes, I do. Jack, I'm on the Guardians. I'm kind of in the middle, but I like the over in that game. Really quick, let me recap the picks we've given out so far during the show, as we only have a couple of minutes left. These are the NBA picks we've given out so far. We have Celtics on the money line. Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. I'd parlay those together. Celtics money line, Tatum over 27.5 points. I also have Jason Tatum over 2.5 3-pointers made, and TJ McConnell over half a block plus a steal. For baseball tonight, I have Braves and Cubs over 9.5. I have Braves team total over 4.5 runs. I have the Phillies on the money line. I have the Yankees on the money line. I have the Royals on the money line. I have the Orioles on the money line. And just because I love talking sports with you guys every day, one more I'm putting up on the board. I am taking the Blue Jays on the money line, everybody. Blue Jays on the money line. So again, Braves Cubs over 9.5. Braves team total over 4.5. Phillies on the money line. Yankees on the money line. Royals on the money line. Orioles on the money line. And Blue Jays on the money line. As for some player prop bets, We're going Brandon Marsh over half a hit. Salvador Perez over half a hit. Cody Bellinger over half a hit. Seiya Suzuki over half a hit. Marcelo Zuna over half a hit. Aaron Judge over half a hit. And Juan Soto over half a hit. Finally, we did have a question about tomorrow night's Game 1 for Panthers and Rangers. We are taking Panthers and Rangers over 5.5 goals. I know that game doesn't drop puck until tomorrow, but since we got the question, we're giving out that pick now. We are taking the over 5.5 goals. If you're new to Butt Fumble Sports, make sure you guys DM me every single day. I love talking with you guys no matter where we are, the platform, the day. I love talking sports with you. So make sure you guys DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports. Get every single bet that I make every single day. Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Kick. That's where we're live. But if you want to get all my bets, DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports. DM me on Instagram to get every bet that I make every single day. I got to go sign off because I got a dinner to get to. With that said, I hope you guys stay healthy. I hope you stay safe. Have a freaking wonderful night of watching sports. Congratulations. You made it to Tuesday night and the start of the Eastern Conference Finals. I hope you enjoy the action tonight. I hope you cash a ton of tickets. And I will see you guys tomorrow for our next show. Until then, goodbye everybody. Have a great night.